Yo, what is going on, guys? SMH Super Mario Hoops back with some more hoops, and today we are hopping right back into the top 50 list, and we got none other than an icon in Charles Barkley, also known as the round mound of rebound. So where do I have Sir Charles on my all-time list? Well, I got him at number 28. But before I start talking into my reasoning as to why, I'm gonna need you guys to hit the like button for me. Feel free to subscribe and also hit the notification bell. Leave a comment down below what you think of my thoughts on Charles Barkley, or just your own personal thoughts on Charles Barkley, either during or after the video. But without further ado, let's get into Chuck. Over the course of his career, Charles Barkley was an 11-time NBA All-Star. This includes making it every year from 1987 until 1997. In fact, he was even an All-NBA level player for 11 seasons, making All-NBA first team from 1988 until 1991, as well as 1993. And then he made All-NBA second team in 1986, 1987, 1992, 1994, and 1995, and then he got All-NBA third team honors in 1996. This even added to him winning an MVP award in one of those 5 years on All-NBA first team, the one most specifically being 1993. And he was the NBA rebounding leader in 1988 as well. Now, in terms of his MVP shares over the course of his career, he received votes over 12 different seasons. In fact, he was even a top 6 finisher 8 times, and this includes 6 straight years from 1985 until 1991. He was a one-time runner-up in 1989-1990 NBA season, and he was the one-time winner in the 92-93 season as well with the Phoenix Suns. And in terms of that year he was the runner-up, there's a great case to be made that Barkley deserved that MVP more than the winner, Magic Johnson. In fact, in the 66-year history of the MVP award, Charles Barkley that year became the only person in NBA history to receive the most first-place votes for the league MVP and still lost in the MVP voting. Barkley received 38 first-place votes to Magic Johnson's 27, but Magic overall received 636 votes to Barkley's 614. What's even crazier is that Magic's total number of first-place votes was actually closer to Michael Jordan's, who finished third that year in MVP voting, than Barkley, who came out still as the runner-up in the final voting. And to be honest, I think Barkley should have won this, in my opinion. I mean, he averaged more than Magic in 4 of the 5 major statistical categories. He led the league in true shooting percentage. He had more total win shares than Magic. And although Kareem had just retired from the Lakers in the offseason prior to this season, I would say that Magic still had a better supporting cast than that of Charles Barkley. It's close for sure, but I'd still give Barkley the edge in who I think deserved the MVP. But speaking again on his true shooting percentage, he led the NBA in this category for 4 seasons, all consecutive, which is actually the second most time that a player has done that in NBA history, only behind Artis Gilmore. And in terms of how Chuck fares on all-time stats, his true shooting percentage ranks him 13th in NBA history with a 61.2% efficiency. A 24.6 PER puts him 12th on the all-time list. 177.2 win shares puts him 14th in NBA history. 123.3 offensive win shares puts him 12th all-time. A 53.9 defensive win share rating puts him at 39th in NBA history. A .216 win share per 48 rating is 13th all-time. A 6.1 BPM rating puts him 13th all-time. A 5.3 offensive box plus minus puts him at 8th all-time. 119.3 offensive rating is good for 11th in NBA history, and an 80.5 VORP rating puts him 11th again in NBA history. So now let's move on and transition to Charles Barkley in the playoffs. Now, generally speaking, I would say that Barkley elevated his game in the postseason. I mean, he became a higher volume scorer with a higher average VORP, and his team benefited even more from his production. His efficiency and his defensive rating did slightly drop, however, but it wasn't too noticeable to make a big ordeal about. Over his 25 playoff series in his career, he averaged over 20 points per game in 18 of those 25, and this includes 17 of 17 in what would be considered his prime seasons. To add on to this, he averaged 10 rebounds per game in 23 of 25 series for his career, and once again, he did this in all 17 playoff series during his prime years. Now, in 1985, this is when Charles Barkley made his first conference finals appearance. but at the time he was a rookie that was probably the third or fourth option depending on your fondness of Andrew Toney. But the team was led by Moses Malone and Dr. J in a series where both of them were very inefficient. However, the supporting cast like Barkley, like Toney, like even Mo Cheeks all shot pretty well for the series, but they still fell in 5 to the Bird and McHale Celtics. Now this team lost in the NBA Finals anyways, so we never will know who could have won if the Sixers moved on. But of course, you got to take into account that the NBA is a game of matchups, so really anything could have happened. After his rookie year, Barkley was struggled to reach that much success again in Philadelphia as the team had moved on with Dr. J, with Moses Malone, with Mo Cheeks, and then Andrew Toney started to have multiple injuries. A bunch of years of exits from the Bucks with Moncrief and Terry Cummings, a year without a playoff appearance, a quick exit from Patrick Ewing's Knicks, and multiple losses to MJ and the Chicago Bulls all led to the eventual decision of the Sixers and Barkley parting ways and him getting sent to the Phoenix Suns. But in his first year there in Phoenix, he refound that first season success he had in Philadelphia. After being named league MVP, he would outplay Hall of Famers such as James Worthy, David Robinson, and Gary Payton en route to make the NBA Finals for the first time in his 9-year career. This is where he met an old rival and old friend, Michael Jordan, and his Chicago Bulls, the team that had eliminated him from the playoffs the last 2 times he had made it there. And Barkley by no means was bad this series, although he was a bit inefficient in Game 6, but MJ was just unreal, and quite possibly his best series ever. It didn't help that Kevin Johnson was held to such poor efficiency this series, and he was widely considered that second man to Barkley, and the Suns would fall in 6 games to Chicago despite having the league MVP and the better record and the home court advantage for the season in comparison to the Bulls. It would take until 1997, which was the first year in Houston, where Barkley would make it back to the conference finals. And as they went down 3 games to 2 to Utah, the Rockets had a 10-point lead with under 3 minutes left. But a Brian Russell 3 cut it to 7, and then Olajuwon missed a shot where some Stockton free throws cut it to 5, and then things started to get tense. Barkley made the next 2 free throws before another Brian Russell 3-pointer made it a 4-point Rockets lead, and then a miss by Mario Elie and a turnover by Clyde Drexler led to 2 layups for John Stockton, and the game was tied at 98 with a minute to go. Now things are getting really tense. Greg Oystertag fouled Barkley on a putback where Chuck made both free throws before a 2-point short shot by John Stockton tied it back at 100. And then after a Clyde Drexler miss, this gave Utah a chance to win the game and move on to the NBA Finals with 2 seconds left. And then John Stockton hit the shot of shots and put the Jazz in the NBA Championship Series. This was quite possibly one of John Stockton's best games of his career. I mean, he scored 13 points in the final 3 minutes and 13 seconds of this game, which 13 points per game is roughly what he averaged for his NBA career. But as I just ran through it, the only Rocket to score after the 3-minute mark was Charles Barkley. I mean, Drexler, he choked. Mario Elie was to no help. Even Hakeem Olajuwon choked this game away, which he would do again in the 1999 series, while Barkley in his final playoff series ever against the Shaq and Kobe Lakers averaged 23.5 points a game, 14 rebounds a game, 4 assists per game on 53% shooting from the field after losing the series 3-1. So when it comes to Charles Barkley as a whole, I would say that he is properly rated. I mean, I think around top 30 is the decision that most people make for him, and while he was very unlucky, there were also some instances where he did get outclassed, such as by Jordan or at the end of that game by Stockton. I know that he didn't have much help around him, but I mean, you can't deny what happened. But again, give him a different situation and some more fortunate scenarios like other great players in NBA history, and there's a good chance that he has a ring. Regardless, Barkley is still adding to his career resume today. Not his NBA playing career resume, because that's a thing of the past, but in terms of what he has accomplished with TNT, being extremely entertaining, and becoming an even better person than the general perception of him from early in his NBA career. His efficiency is something that deserves a lot of credit as well, especially his dominance in doing so around the basket in an era with so many other dominant centers. Yes, he's listed as 6'6", but he's probably more around 6'4" or 6'5", and yet he was still dominating the paint like no other player of his size ever had. has. It's also kind of interesting that his most successful years were always the first season he had with a new organization. So when you see these players nowadays that are always leaving teams to try and team up and make super teams, maybe a guy like Charles Barkley could have benefited from a few of those because it's a change of scenery. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about Charles Barkley, aka Sir Charles. I think that in a way, a lot of people do start leaving him out in certain situations. Nobody really talks about how efficient he was as a power forward. He's probably the most efficient power forward in NBA history, and that's one of the most important parts for an individual in terms of their offensive skill set in the game. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I think that's going to do it for me, so I'm out. Peace.